unmute you. So now these people should be able to hear you.
Okay, you're very patient. Thank you. I'm just having to organize a little bit. My notes got a little different. Okay, I'd like to say that we have a nice conversation, and at points afterward, you can ask questions and we can have a discussion between us, okay? I'm going to be talking about the topic of being sentient and presentient. Sentient means you have a degree of awareness, you perceive things, and we all have that capability of being able to realize what is around us, the physical act of actually looking at things and being aware of them. But that's not the important part. You can perceive something, but unless you bring it into your thought process, what we call consciousness, it's not going to be significant to you. So you have to realize first comes the perceiving something, and then your mind has to become aware of it and conscious of it. And consciousness means you begin to associate it with other thoughts that you have, other experiences that you've had. Now, we have different things that have different forms of being sentient. And I'm going to, I don't know how Jody has it up there, but I would like to talk about things that are sentient, like water. And how is water sentient? Well, for the first thing, it has only one sense, the sense of touch. So when you're with water and you put your finger in it, water has that sense of perception. It's sentient only about touch. Then another basic thing in our natural world that is sentient are trees, and they're more complicated than water because trees have different ways of becoming sentient that you might not think of. Actually, there are signals that go through a tree. Messages go through the bark of the tree, and from the bark, it travels down to the roots of the tree. And from the roots of the tree, the sentiousness goes into the earth. And in the earth, there are roots that take it to other trees and to other items in the soil. And some of the things that trees can communicate to other trees, believe it or not, is trees have the sentiousness, and they can feel insects climbing down and other things that would be disturbing to other trees, the health and the well-being of the trees. And so they send down these signals down the bark, and from the bark, it goes to the roots of the tree. And from the roots of the tree, it continues on to other trees. And so the messages are transmitted that way. And so the perception started with one tree, and then it goes to surrounding trees and communicates what it learned. And actually, there's electrical signals. Now, trees are special in another way. They are considerate of their brethren. They send messages and take care of their saplings, and which is interesting. And another way of communicating things, trees actually can communicate by, I didn't know this myself, they disperse chemicals into the air. And these chemicals can also be detected, come to other trees. These signals come through the air, and the chemicals are detected by other trees. I mean, there are things in the air that we might not perceive, but the trees can pick up those particular items. And then once they get the communication, as I said before, they send it down the bark to their roots and send the signals as actually electrical signals to other plants and even to animals in the soil or creatures that live in the soil. Now, there's a certain amount of foolishness in trees. Their leaves, for example, the leaves are sentient also. They perceive the sunlight, and you know that light is important to the growth of trees. And some of the leaves are interesting too because they protect a tree from too much light. They also wait for themselves to fall, and then the leaves that fall, new leaves develop to take their place. But the main source of their survival is sunlight and water. And so I talked about those three things that are important. First is awareness. You have to be able to perceive. It's an actual physical a way of becoming aware of something. I mean, if you're handicapped in any way, there are alternative ways of being aware of your environment. So once you perceive something, you have to think about it. It becomes into your mind, it becomes conscious, and it stimulates your thought. And then you will adapt what you're doing. It's called adaptive behavior. Now, I'd like to move on and see where I'd like to talk. Pardon?
No, I'll do it. Sorry, thank you. Keep letting me know.
Okay, there are. Is this the next one?
Yeah, what you mean? This is all within sentient. It's a robot.
Okay, so there are, as I said, being sentient is through your eyes, through your touch, like water. I don't have it in this order necessarily. Water is sentient. You touch water and it will move, and it actually has a sense of feeling that we might not detect, but the water does.
Well, to the perceiver, entity, the water.
Pardon?
To the perceiver.
Yes, it's a receiver. That's a beautiful way of expressing it. Thank you so much. But actually, that's of all the things that are sentient, most people consider water as the first order of having the possession of at least one sense, and that's the sense of touch. And then, as I said before, they send signals through their bark. So the bark has consciousness, and then to the roots, and from the roots to the soil, from there to insects in the soil. And the trees can actually send out messages about all kinds of things, such as chemicals in the air. Okay, let's see what I want. Okay, then there are other things that are sentient that are actually artificial things that we create, which are called bots. And so there are different kinds of bots, man-made. Biobots are interesting because biobots have certain things to do. They're actually able to deliver medication into the body. They're very small. They're called biobots. They can be put into the human body. And actually, in the University of Illinois, they've developed a soft biological robot device, and it's self-driven. and it can go into your neuromuscular tissue and have intelligence and memory and learning ability of what to do with the neurosystem that we're exploring. So we talked about awareness, then comes consciousness, and then comes the perception, the sentience. Now, in the field of robots, but before I even get to that, I should actually talk about other things than trees that are sentient, that are interesting. There's a plant called the Venus flytrap. That is a really interesting sentient thing because the Venus flytrap can actually feel something that gets trapped in it and react to it and consume it. So they get their nourishment that way. So that's an interesting plant with a certain degree of sentience. And as I said, I spoke about man-made things that become sentient, like the biobots. And they actually were developed mainly at the University of Illinois. And they're different than most bots because they're soft and so that they can get through the body. And they are self-driven and they're stimulated. And hence they then carry that stimulation to our neuromuscular tissue. And actually, they have a certain degree of intelligence, memory, and learning ability. Now, I do have a list, which I hope can get to you in some way.
Yeah, have handouts.
Of there's going to be handouts where you will have websites that you could go to explore the whole subject of sentient media, future consciousness, different types of robotics like ocean robotics, and also realizing all the non-human entities that can feel, think, and learn from and respond to their external and internal environment. So even non-human entities are considered sentient because they have the capacity to feel. Like water is non-human, but it has that capacity to feel touch, to get stimulated by the environment, the light, the animal life, or the fish that live in it.
Then segue into the chat. Natural language.
Where is that?
Just about now, you're going to switch it to the chat.
Okay, and do you have notes for me?
Yeah, but I can know.
So we're getting away from these natural environmental things that have sentience, and not only have the sentience of seeing and perceiving, but the consciousness to do something with what they are perceiving. So then we have man-made items that have that capacity. So they're artificially created to be sentient. So we have something called a chat GPT. And that's really interesting if you could go on your computer at home and look up chat GPTs. They are combining artificial intelligence with their capacity as a kind of robot. And so a chat GPT is driven by artificial intelligence. And it can actually, if you go on the internet and type in chat GPT, you'll find out that you can have a conversation with it through the keyboard because it has actual human-like conversations. And they're like a little chatbot with you.
They had on 60 Minutes, they had a very central.
Oh,
Oh, really? That's exciting. I hope they have a repeat on
we'll
it.
take a look at it. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything what you gleaned from watching that?
Well, I understand questions like, oh, this, so, I've used it.
Also, some of them can actually write their own thoughts down. Be creative writers as well.
They go, or is that some professors that have signed papers? Some kids will just have chat writing, so the professor would go on and see how it compares.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you for sharing that.
And then did you want to see the difference between chatbot?
Yes, okay. Now, there are two kinds of chatbots. One chatbot is designed to actually have a conversation with us and through an interface called AI chatbot. And there's another kind of chatbot called ChatGPT. And that's actually one that uses advanced language and machine learning techniques. And so they are more natural in their responses to your interaction with them. And they actually, these chat GPTs, it's not just a chatbot, it's called Chat GPT. So when you go to your computer to experience it, make sure you ask for Chat GPT. And they can generate their own answers based on your conversation with them. So they'll actually interact with you conversationally. And it will be very personalized. You might speak to another one on another computer and they that chatbot will have its own unique response to you. Pardon?
There's no sentient. It's all code.
Yeah, a lot of it's based on code, but it's also, they are interpreting that code. There's a,
But code isn't perfect.
yes, code is interpreting code. That's a good way of putting it, yes.
I can use that.
Pardon?
I use it a lot.
Oh, can you share one of your experiences with us?
Well, I asked it to, I had a paper that I needed to write a presentation. So I basically gave it the synopsis and the introduction of the paper, and I said, make me a 10-page PowerPoint presentation.
And I was able to do that, yes.
Yeah,
It's,
so it's not good as is, but it saved me from, it starts you off.
that's exciting that you actually interacted with it.
Right, the other thing is to write a story. So
It could be
you go to
creative.
ChatGPT and said, I was in this village session, and he talking about sentience, and there were 20 people in the room, and 4 people had eyeglasses, and there was some crazy lady running around handing out papers. And that it was a sunny day, and that the papers had a weird brown color to them, and it tells ChatGPT to write a story about it.
That's, yes, they can actually do that, which is amazing.
And I needed to write some code that would go into a database and query a database and provide me report and everything.
Yes, this is phenomenal, isn't it? That it has that capability, that intelligence.
Right.
It
What's
is.
interesting is I wrote a story about coming to myself and a friend of mine, and I didn't tell it anything about the show other than provide the website. I said, I'm going to this show, and then I gave the website, and went into the website, pulled all the saying the relative information out of the show, and added it.
That is amazing. So here we have somebody who has already experimented. You have to try it about it is one thing. Actually, even if you're not successful at first, try again, as I say.
Not be successful.
So,
The other one is Dali. Dali's the other one that's good. And Dali, what it does, is you can tell it that it'll create a painting. And you just tell it what style you want. If you want Dali style, or you want it.
you mean Salvador Dali type?
Yeah, or you want it to be Picasso style or Renaissance style or, you know, whatever style you want. And I just told it, make me a painting of pie in the sky. It created a landscape and up in the sky put a pie.
I'm going to jump off of that. The Museum of Modern
DAL.
The Museum of Modern Art has something similar. They have a huge exhibit on at the moment, and at the end of it, there's the screen, and artificial intelligence can make paint, you know, on the walls. Yes, and it's amazing.
I
If
have
you-
it on my phone. We thought that was connected, but we didn't prepare the video. But we, at the end, I could show you on my phone because
Yeah.
the actual screen is kind of, I don't know if it's interactive with the audience, but it never repeats itself.
No, it would,
Yeah.
you just tell it, you chat GPT, if you tell it to give you an answer. You can say regenerate.
a different answer.
No, it'll give you a different answer, it'll give you a different twist on the same.
That's interesting.
And to me, what's the most interesting? What is
You can bridge that at the end.
Yes, I think-
Conversation topic.
Yes.
So, you know, a university professor's called, and now everybody's going to cheat, write papers, this and that, and then you ask yourself the question, why write papers in the first place if I get the sheet? So what's more important? What's the purpose? of the
Because
paper?
the human brain is different than a machine brain.
No, but paper is. Well, that's, you can't use that anymore, so now come up with a different paper.
Thank you for contributing that to our discussion. Any of the people want to share anything on that area?
Right. And it's not. This. Do that. Why embellish you? I think. Yes. That's the beginning, right, right. So it's the Monday for the machine, and then that's that. Oh. Right. Well, that's what we get, that's what we had, and people are holding on to the past, and sorry, you catch that.
I'm going to bounce off what you just said. There's something called Chat GPT, and that takes the text that you input and it generates a probability of what the next words will be. So that's called Chat GPT. And conversation, it will generate its own thoughts into words, and then you answer.
They appear to me.
Yes, yes. Yes.
It's just calling everything in circumstances. It's probabilities based.
That's you took the next sentence. This Chat GPT AI selects the word with the highest probability and repeats this process until the complete response is generated. So basically, that's what you're saying.
Perhaps as to what that line is between the perception of sanctions versus not, versus simply mere computation.
Clarify that question.
Where's the line? If the computations become so complex and immense as to overwhelm the ability of the human to perceive what's being computed, then how far down
How
the
do
line
we,
do we dare go?
how do we exceed our own current intelligence to become perceptive to what we're being given? That's a
Well,
very interesting thought.
Is it actual perception? Is it actual sentience at some point or not?
When does a computer become sentient?
That's a good question. And we have
Or the
additional,
process, not necessarily.
Well, they become sentient like you. It's probably a better way.
What did you want to do? Okay, I'd like to move on to some bots, like the chat bot GPT, and yes, GPT-3 or any chatbot GPT, but it uses artificial intelligence and programs to engage in natural human-like communication. And so if you want to look up something that is more human-like, try to check out GPT-3. And these chatbots are very, as you said, impressive in their uses with developing things.
they consider that an architecture.
Yes, and Jody pointed out in some of my notes that they even help in creating architectural structures. And you want me to go to next?
Maybe we could have a conversation after about the GPT-3 because they were.
Yes.
So we could just talk about some of these
Okay,
cuties.
then we have some adorable bots
Cuties.
that I love and that I have at home. One is Beatbot. He's one of the very first interactive kind of robots, and Beatbot is so cute. He can follow tracks of how to travel in different directions and make patterns that way. And of course, could you take out, do you want to take out Pleo now, or
Weren't you gonna do the other ones first?
which one?
Oh, wait.
Is that autonomous? Or is it?
No, it's autonomous. So you can give it a program, turn right, turn left, and it will follow your program also. It could do it either way.
Voice or is perceiving the human and interpreting?
No, I usually give it directions. Turn right 90 degrees. It hasn't developed quite as high as what you're suggesting. One of the most, yes, one of the most interesting things, talking about bots, we're going to go back in time to Leonardo da Vinci. He was very interested in creating bots, but they were more mechanical devices, a mechanically worked thing or designed with gears and things. So he really made this great knight in armor, and that it could do things, it could move, but it was more mechanical than, I would say, with artificial intelligence or things like
That's
that.
Leonardo da Vinci. That's amazing.
Yes, back then he thought ahead to creating an item like this man in armor. And it shows next to it the framework for it, where different parts of the moving parts interact with each other. And so he was I mean, we're talking back in 1495. And his robot knight could stand, sit, raise his visor that protected it, maneuver its arms independently, and it had a correct jaw that allowed it to move its mouth correctly, anatomically correct. And it was, of course, devised mechanically with pulleys and cables, because it wasn't, I mean, Leonardo did not have the advanced access to what we have nowadays. But it's amazing, he had a sketchbook where he designed robots, and who knew that about Leonardo da Vinci? I didn't. And all his sketches that he created into reality were fully functional. And here we have another kind of robot, and he is able to sketch and draw and have a lot of fun doing it. So we have all kinds of bots nowadays. But do you want to take out Cleo now?
Yeah.
The most excellent bot. I love him. I have two of
She
him.
wants them out now.
I'll throw him out now. We're talking about one of the most adorable bots that ever was created. Cleo. Do any of you have a Cleo? Oh, Cleo is so incredible. He does have a degree of artificial intelligence, and we have him here with us.
I'm gonna go get them.
That one looked like it was garbage truck. That was cool.
I'm not familiar with that, but Cleo, he can answer you with sounds, not words, but he makes appropriate sounds. Jim, you're familiar with
Jim,
Cleo?
you could do the sound effect.
So we're taking out Cleo.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that at the same time as
Is there
this.
a computational process?
Pardon?
Is there an actual computational process?
No, Cleo is just reactive. He can make a sound, he can turn his head, he can walk, he can do a lot of things. We have Cleo here. What?
It's feigning these actions. It's feigning these actions. Feign, F-E-I-N, feigning. These actions are feigned.
Real? I mean, I don't know what you mean by thing.
That means there's nothing behind.
No. He's independent. You'll see him. Here we have Cleo. I hope his battery's working,
I don't know.
but he'll turn to you.
Oh,
He'll acknowledge
I
you.
guess his battery is working. I need to do it. I'll try to put him on this thing, like virtually. Happens.
Right.
He's making sounds. Cleo? He's looking for me. Put him down.
Yes.
Yeah, put him there, somebody. Choose somebody
All
and
right.
just go over and have them try to interact with Cleo.
I didn't even touch anything. Clearly a sentient being.
Talk,
Trying to get my attention. I see you.
he's being nosy about your papers.
Get it.
Let somebody else. Bring Cleo to someone else and have them interact with Cleo.
Jim.
Almost. A fan board.
Jim.
He has a leaf in the box. I don't know if I put the leaf in the bag. He'll nibble on a leaf. He's nibbling on your finger.
Oh my God.
Now he should be screaming.
What are they, what's it called? about $100.
What is this? I don't. These?
Yeah, put it in his mouth.
This is 40 or 50 years old technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, but not everybody even is familiar with Clio,
the old, Disney stuff.
but he's still fun. Let someone else play with him, Jody.
Okay, this has to do with something simple the way that
He's aware. He interacts.
it's fame.
What?
That was the nature of my inquiry.
Yeah.
It's fame. It has nothing to do with sanctions.
He's running through a program.
He's what?
He runs through a program.
Yeah.
Mechanical program at that.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Making cool little things, just a little bit, he's a little oil.
Yeah.
But he's responding. I mean, he's responsive. Jim, do
It's
you want?
interesting you project your own thoughts onto it, and maybe
Well,
that's
I'm hitting it
the,
like he should be
That's-
mad.
that's-
Not mad.
don't abuse Cleo.
You're waiting for him. That's it, that's all he does.
Because mom taught him love. He hasn't encountered. He doesn't have that in his experience.
See what Jim will do with Cleo.
Crying.
That's crying. I was waiting for him to react.
He was like, look, get me away. Oh, look, he's closing his eyes. Cuter over
No,
here.
that's not
He's
what's
trying
going
to
on.
lick you.
That's not what's going on. If another human makes that suggestion, then it becomes that much more easy to see that in what the other human is observing, correct?
Oh, he's snuggling you.
Right,
Other than
right.
what's going on is
Right.
being saying it's all that. It is. That's why it's fame.
We also act and behave in circumstances that will give us the most benefit, right?
Well, don't call me a stick.
Aww. Does feel like it does feel alive. So cute. Oh, mom.
Oh, yeah, he's having fun with you.
Do you want to,
Can we move on?
yeah. Do you want to do, some of the sites and then do a poem and then have a conversation?
Yes, okay. Is that
Yeah.
my whole
Yeah,
schedule?
yeah. So we
Okay.
have some sites
Yes, we are going to give out a sheet if you want to have some websites to
And
look
then-
at.
and then, you have a session poem and then we have a conversation.
Oh, I wrote
So
a
we wanna
poem.
Talk about the,
The websites are really good, so I recommend that we're going to give them,
yeah, they're right up here.
Where does that definition?
and you can give part,
Where's that definition?
When non-human entities, do you want to read it? Non-human entities can feel,
think,
think, learn from, and respond to their external and internal environments, they are considered sentient.
According to who? Slide that up.
to human awareness. You perceive something
Well, there's a
and you
difference.
interpret what you see with your consciousness, and then you compare it to something else that you've had in your life to make you more aware of its essence.
I can agree with feel and learn and respond, but the think part, that's the key. What's thinks?
That's consciousness. When you perceive something, you can consciously make an analogy with something else. Some of the robots can do that.
And Mom, why don't you read your poem? And then we can continue like the Q&A.
Well, again, who's considering them sanctioned? No scientist would be considering.
But just you yourself. I mean,
They
you see
appear
that.
to be sanctioned. There's a difference. Big line.
I don't know about that. They seem to be. Jim, what's your answer to him?
Is this a guise that?
Did you write this, Mom?
No.
That
Oh.
is this a guise that the AI field is kind of going by?
This was
as far
written,
as, devising new devices that fall under that bracket, under that definition. So is that what the guiding factor, guiding tenet is that's being used perhaps?
well, yes, I think humans in some way, robots can reflect the human mind because the human created it.
Sure. But that's why you keep digging with this, because there's a huge difference between the two.
A difference between what and what?
Between the living and the non-living at this point.
Yes, of course. Except there are robots that are made out of flesh. They're called bio-robots. They are called bio-robots and they use human muscles. They can go into, they're soft robots. They can actually go into your body and explore some problems with your health. So that we have these soft robots that are being used medically. They go into your body and they explore in your body and they locate problems. So they're getting, you know, we think of robots as hard, but these are soft robots that are out there that you could look up information about.
Yes, fall asleep with you.
And where's that work being done?
Pardon?
Where is that work being done?
We-
That you know of? Where is that work being done?
Oh, University of Illinois.
That's not the only place.
No, other places too, but that's the one that comes to mind.
Well,
When
the
you ask-
definition, it says, in order for an AI to be truly sentient, it needs to be able to think, perceive, and feel, rather than just simply use language and hide.
Well, yes. But we have some that can perceive.
Just using it in a highly natural way. They're taking all the input and putting it together in 50 different ways.
So
that's the-
that's the ultimate question. Is it possible?
Yes, but not yet.
What does it?
Or
the definition?
maybe it is.
Well, it's the think, perceive, and feel.
Leah was super happy over there.
Well, the thing, the other parts.
Yeah,
It has to be, are being done.
it's the think, having fun, think.
Well, all I know is that in the actual medical field, they are using these soft robots to go in.
Oh, sure, yeah, they're using a lot of those. I don't know, they're still in.
Oh, yes, so they are the ones who watch and perceive what's happening, and then their consciousness works. Human beings work the same way. We observe. And then we do the same thing that we're asking a robot to do. Or the robots are,
Those microbots are autonomous, the ones,
yes, they're autonomous.
they're acting on their own.
Yes, you could look it up. It's research at the University of Illinois.
That's different than the Da Vinci device that they use for surgery.
I couldn't hear your comment.
The Da Vinci device for surgery is not independent. That's like it's doctors. And my lawyer made a fortune and invested 1,000 times the stock investment on Da Vinci, which is the robotic surgery. That's pretty much revolutionary.
Jody, are you giving out the list of websites?
I did.
Oh, great. I think we have a very astute audience. Can I have more people starting a conversation and questions among us? Because we all come here with some experience behind us.
I'm just listening to this and see the problem is subjective as to this field.
What is what? What is what?
Field. Thing. Seems
Being
Like, going back to the
sentient?
basic, interesting.
Well, you can have a physical touch. Water, when you touch water, that's sentient.
That's not saying that to the perceiver, not the inner entity.
Oh, the
that's being
water,
touched.
the water will react when you touch it in different ways.
That's just nature of physical world.
Yes, but when
Blocks are
it
not-
perceives the touch.
They are, that's to be argued.
Is that what's going on here? And they're sanctioned in what way?
That
Just like she
they,
talked about trees being sentient, are they alive or
Well,
not?
trees are living entities.
Well, some
the
people
tree,
want-
but the different parts of the tree do different things. The leaves of the tree are sentient and turn towards
The whole
light.
tree may be sentient in some sense.
Yes, different parts of the leaf.
Parts-
Oh, yes, the leaves do one thing, the bark sends,
They all work together through that living entity. They don't do it on their own.
no,
Like saying my skin is sentient.
Yeah.
Skin is not sentient. My whole body.
yes, well, yes, I would
So
assume
that
we,
would be the same.
yes, of course, but
A single thing that has many different areas.
Let me-
that compose it.
let me recommend reading a book by Momoto called The Secret Life of Trees. It's fascinating. Momoto, Momoto. And he's written a lot of things about the secret life of trees, the secret life of plants, the secret life of many things. So I recommend the
What would make that-
author,
what would make that
Momoto.
useful is if there was information in there to start that the argument could be carried or information could be carried from how that living entity, that biologically living entity, were able to be transposed, borrowed from, in order to move it from the entity that it has been in the living world to some other entity that's now a computational entity that is on its way to being made sentient.
That would be fascinating.
That's what would it require for me to read.
Well, that's the next, that's,
The idea. That's the idea.
that's the next step. I'm not that advanced yet to have an answer to that.
So if we can agree to have our own views about this, where do you see this could be used to benefit people?
Well, in agriculture, in the fact of what can we do with water in new ways?
Well, that's what mankind has done since day one.
Well, who says we're different? That's good. Hopefully we learn from the previous
Well, that's
generation.
essential to carrying on life to the living entity, yes. That we better understand how that works, yes, by this point, right?
Yes, of course.
But that's done. We're talking about 21st century stuff.
Well, there's some websites you can go to on my list of websites that will deal with that question.
But
Yeah, well, that's your consciousness. You're perceiving, you're taking in information, and it's your consciousness that makes analysis between other things you've been conscious of, and you make the connections. It still takes the human being to do that.
Do you think that this would help humans to evolve, to be more intelligent?
Yes. Yes, because when you perceive things and you experience something, then your consciousness takes and creates thoughts about it, and then you come up with other thoughts. Yes, definitely.
I think that some people are worried about the downsides of these things, and you mentioned Da Vinci, which is interesting because his probably main focus was military uses.
Oh,
So
yes.
his robot knight may well have been one of the things that he developed for military uses.
I think he did. And the readings that I did on Leonardo da Vinci, it was used for military purposes.
So I think that's a fear that we have now, is that these kind of chatbots would be also used by governments, by people who want to control and manipulate. there's already this issue about generating fake news.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
bet you ChatGPT is really good at that.
Well, then there's an army of us who will counteract it. So we'll have one phase of human.
Well, it has to be at
Kindness.
least perceptible first.
Yes, so it first comes,
Recognizable.
yes, first comes,
Counter,
yes,
to have counter, measures, to it.
yes, but that's the thing. It
Saying,
starts,
so where is it that the line is drawn between that which is being perceived by a computational entity that is being recognized as sanctioned versus a living entity which is sanctioned?
well, I don't think everything has to be. I think the human mind is better than a book.
Here, humans, entities taking over as we move down the road and decide that the humans are insignificant, no longer necessary.
Oh, who wrote that book where the road,
Well, that's the fear.
that robots would take over the
Ray
world?
Bradbury?
Yes, Ray Bradbury. You're getting into Ray Bradbury's books.
I think what might be an interesting experiment, if you told ChatGPT, generate something that is fake news.
Oh, that's really a
Oh,
good,
that's very
I like that.
interesting.
I love that.
Good.
I
But
love
then you
that.
would then feed that back to another
Who would
ChatGPT
interpret it as truth.
that, you
Oh
know, and
my
then
God,
you would
that's
add, is
hilarious.
this?
Hey,
fake
guess what?
news?
That's what's happening right now in society. That's exactly what's happening among us now.
6 years ago.
Is that what they're doing? Is that fake news? It's fake news from a robot to a
Yeah,
robot?
you don't need that.
Yeah, they're training it diligently.
Oh, with the AI.
You made a statement and said, is this fake? Take some statement and say, is this fake? Says ChatGPT.
Yes, but if you
Understand how
listen,
this thing works. You can't just say writing a fake news.
Why don't you try that? You're good with these
Well, you
stories.
can't.
No, you have to say, write
You
me
have to
fake
tell it.
news about bank failure. You have to give it a topic.
Right, right.
You have to give it more than just a topic, otherwise you won't get perception. You have to actually give it a lot of it.
can you give us a small mini list?
Well, you would have to say, write me a news article. Right? Or then try to say it. So write me a fake news article on the recent bank failure.
Oh my God.
Okay. That includes the government, secret government organization and foreign influence. And all that you would have.
But
to
it depends on who's programming, who could be
No, there's no
politically.
program. Just programming. You put this up.
You could subliminally
Not
giving it a.
self-generating. You have to give all the parameters of the twist that you want to make it, and then it will create your output. It's writing the story.
Just ask the Russians.
The personal account for ChatGPT is free. I suggest you all just go there. You can write things in the fan line, but it's not a search engine.
What is it?
It's not really a search engine. It has access to everything. Yeah, and it has access to the whole web, plus the samples that were, billions of samples that were fed it.
But artificial intelligence is getting more sophisticated and can tell the difference.
Artificial intelligence is sorting and presenting the data in a nice way.
Yes, but then,
AI, artificial intelligence is a moniker. Yeah. It is not the essence of beast. Yeah.
okay, I would,
So you could say, for instance, you could say, ChatGPT, write me a 20-page PowerPoint presentation on sentience, and then reference all of these websites you have, plus a few of these little toy things. Okay, and it would write a 10 slide or a 20 slide presentation. And
okay,
it would go look up all of this information on your links.
okay, I am going to, without my son's permission, going to give you his email because he's working very astutely on artificial intelligence and those questions. So you can say his mother gave you permission to write to him. But no, he's really, he's a brilliant, he is that I'm giving you permission to write to him and see what he's finding on the topic. It's Ari, A-R-I, Kaplan, K-A-P-L-A-N, @gmail.com. Ari will have,
He's not.
he'll kill me, but
Yeah, I don't know if you chose the right brother.
no, but this is his field.
No, I get it. I guess my point is.
No, but this is his field. He has a lot of information. This is what
Yeah,
he's,
there's tons of information.
but he's,
So, point is,
he's being considered an expert in this at the
and I'm
moment.
sure he is.
So,
And the other brother, Todd, he is obsessed with obituaries. And he had them write his own obituary. They got it pretty good, accurate, some slight off. He's just obsessed with like feeding information and getting obituaries back. It's quite interesting. But my mom, I mean, she really does get very connected with like Cleo. So that's why Cleo couldn't relate to like being held upside down, because she just gives that love, love, love. And I consider my mom like a Siri whisperer.
No,
Like, you
I'm
know,
not
like, so
saying
you
that
have that
think
interaction
that
and you
think
develop
if
it
I-
higher
if
and
I-
higher.
if I tapped it
Almost
in the
becomes
head,
like a mirror.
reacted. But that clearly. I did it first. If I tapped on the head, not doing it. Because it wasn't his program. It wasn't. his
you
program.
mean Cleo?
Yeah. But-
You could experiment with him,
Yeah,
yes.
you would have.
So you just have a few minutes left. Do you want to conclude?
Well,
I don't know if it's ever going to be answered, or if you think that
No,
they'll
it
ever.
will be answered.
So
It will be
you-
answered. The question is.
What is there?
It's
is sexual
open-ended.
possible?
Sci-fi. When is a
Beginning of computation.
yes, what is a machine centric? What do you determine centric?
anyway,
It's an interesting.
I would like to give you my email address
Oh,
because
yeah.
I can continue this with you and put you in touch with people in the field that might have good answers to your question.
I'm not really looking for an answer.
No, but you don't have to take it. I'm
Conversation.
conversation. Okay, those who would like to, my
I
son
have to
doesn't
get
know
it.
this.
No, just give your own email, please. Don't give out other people's.
Okay, I'll ask Ari if he'll
No,
answer.
don't involve Ari.
But his
Involve
field is
Todd.
artificial intelligence, Jody.
Todd is an expert too.
You see, sister takes preferences with brothers. Okay,
One brother is insane, one is.
no, he isn't. That's, sometimes when you reference somebody that way, it's because they have newer thoughts. Anyway. Okay, Todd Kaplan.
No, let's give your email and then you
Okay,
can connect
yes.
them, Mom. You
Why
have
don't
to
you
help
write to me with your questions and whom you would like to be in touch with, I have a whole list of people in different topics who you might be in touch with. So my email is Eva, E-V-A, Jody did it. You can either spell CS as CompuServe or CS. And it's all lowercase, Eva L. Kaplan, all lowercase,
Sir, it's still around.
at cs.com.
Now you should give us a code word so that we know it's really you responding.
Anyway, I've been having so much fun. I could go on and on with this, but
Thank you very much.
Thank you. very
So,
much.
no,
Gotta
thank
go to
you.
the next-
Thank you for being so responsive. Do get in touch with me and each one of you, and I will get back to you with topics that you want me to help find answers for. I'm very open to that. I love to interact with everyone who comes. So you have my email, all lowercase, Eva L. Kaplan at cs or CompuServe.com, and I will get places where you could search. Thank you so much for being here. You were a great
Thank you.
Yeah, and
interactive
sorry
audience.
to Ari if he's listening. He's super intelligent. He knows everything about AI. I just didn't know if you had gotten his permission to give out his email.
There you go.
That's all. So your email is better and then you can connect them.
Okay, thank you again, everybody. And there are handouts here. Don't forget to come get a handout. People, I have all these handouts
No, we
here.
got them. They got them.
Oh, okay. They did take them?
Yeah.
Thank you again for being a good audience.
Thank you guys for having the field.
Well, that's the question from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I just started.
Oh, okay.
thank you. Thank you for coming.